Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Ooh, hello everybody, and welcome back to Introverse Uncharted. And we are back with a Uncharted space activity update. We are pumped to be back in the studio doing some stuff, getting ready to put out another sweet episode. A lot of times the space activity updates are like kind of all inclusive, where I go through a bunch of the stuff that is happening in space, whether it's SpaceX or NASA or Chinese companies or Blue Origin or Virgin Galactic, all that kind of stuff. A lot of times I go through a bunch of those. Today, that is not going to be the case. The case for today, sorry, let's make some adjustments here. The case for today is going to be that we talk about Starship IFT-6 coming up on Monday, just about 91 hours and 30 minutes away from right now. 91 hours, 29 minutes, and 15 seconds, as a matter of fact, as time of recording. Obviously, that'll change when it's posted, but that's where we're at right now. It is pretty awesome, right? It is absolutely awesome that we are this close to the sixth flight. If it goes on Monday, it'll be exactly a year since Flight 2. They have done a ton in a year. They have absolutely done a ton in a year, and that is amazing. Um, you know what they do? They learn every time is kind of the gig, right? The first time was really rough. Concrete flying everywhere. Um, the pad got absolutely decimated. Essentially, they had to redo a whole bunch of stuff, and there was a lot of time in between 1 and 2, and then a lot of time between 2 and 3 as they make a lot of these modifications. A, to the pad, but B, to the hardware. I think we're kind of through a lot of those woods. They still learn, they still adapt, but every time now has looked marginally better than any other time that we have seen a program like this develop. So awesome on their part, and it's always really exciting to watch. I don't know how many of you guys watch, but seriously, tune in to some live streams for Starship's IFT-6 on Monday. The coverage I always watch, I say this a million times, is Nasaspaceflight on YouTube. They are absolutely incredible. You can ask them questions in the chat. They interact with the chat a whole lot. They answer all your questions. You always learn a whole lot, and that team is genuinely passionate about space flight around the world, not just here, not just SpaceX, not just NASA, but around the world. They cover it all. They look at it all. They care about it all. It is totally worth your time to go check them out if you give a crap about space flight in any capacity. But let's start to get into the nitty gritty of this episode of this Uncharted space activity update, where we talk about IFT-6. IFT-6 is, like I said, scheduled to happen no earlier than November 18th, 4 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. And they have a 30-minute window. So that window will open at 4 p.m. Central, and it'll go until 4:30 p.m. Central. The window will close, and if they don't launch in that time frame, they will have to scrub out and go another day. Generally, SpaceX has more than one window available to them, whether or not it's immediately Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever. Normally, they think ahead just in case. You never really know. The systems nowadays are really automated too, where once they go to a specific point, I'm pretty sure it's still T-minus 40 seconds, the onboard computers take over, and if the system detects any anomalies, it shuts off the whole system and auto aborts. And an abort at that point is non-recyclable. They would have to detank the vehicles. There's going to be burn off of a lot of the elements that they use, a lot of the fuels that they use. Their fuels are all chilled down to their cryo, so it's super cold, super fluid. and they burn off after a specific amount of time. So they lose a lot of fluid if they have to recycle. They'd have to bring in the trucks and do it again, which is why that recycle would probably take place the following day or even the day after. But November 18th, 4 p.m. Central, 30-minute window opening at 4 p.m., closing at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. Um, the rocket is slated to continue on the trajectory that it generally has over the last handful of flights. So it'll take off and it'll fly out over the Gulf of Mexico. They're going to go through all of the check marks that they've gone through before. So they'll get up there, they'll do hot staging where they light the engines on the ship, and then they separate it from the booster. The ship will continue, and the booster will go into its boost back burn to bring it back down towards Earth, while the ship continues on a trajectory where it threads the needle excuse me, between essentially Cuba and Florida, and it's going to take off all the way down on its trajected path, or its trajectory towards the Indian Ocean. The booster is going to attempt to return for a catch again. So they will boost back burn. It'll start coming back down. They'll use rocket propulsion to direct it. Now, in the boost back burn, they will go through a series of tests where the system will determine whether or not it believes it is safe to return the vehicle, whether or not there's an anomaly, whether or not they think that it'll make it, or if it'll, RUD, essentially, rapid unscheduled destruction of the vehicle. If it looks like anything is going to go wrong, they're going to drop it into the Gulf of Mexico. If not, they will take it right back to the pad and attempt another catch. Not only does the automated system have to approve the trajectory back towards the pad, but also the flight director will then have to give his approval as well. Once both approvals are in, then it can make its way back towards the pad for hopefully another catch. Obviously, everybody's hoping that this is the case. Remember that anomalies happen. It's not always a perfect thing, and we've seen that a lot with the Starship program. That not every time is it a flawless endeavor, which is not. That's how you learn. That's how you get better. Obviously, Artemis and all that is waiting on the productivity of SpaceX and the Starship program, but they've proven to be reliable at this point. They learn every time, and they always progress, all the way through. And every time, if something goes wrong, they generally make, solid efforts to fix it on the way through. On Flight 3, they had it slated to test whether or not they could relight Raptor engines in space on the ship. If you guys recall, on Flight 3 is where they lost the thrust and then the roll control, and it started to rotisserie roll freely through space. They've gotten that under control. That's like the thing, right? Is they've gotten that under control. The last two flights have shown that they have that, and that they've perfected not rolling like a hot dog at a 7-Eleven through space. So they've added back in they took out the relighting of the Raptor engine for the last two flights because of the issue with the the rolling. But now that they've gotten it done twice, they have added it back in. So one of their mission objectives will be to relight a Raptor engine in space, just to prove that they can then direct the vehicle into its orbital trajectory when they decide to go orbital. But then it's limitless at that point, because then they can do payloads, which Starlink is obviously going to be their first payload. If something goes wrong with Starlink, it's a SpaceX product. They will have to deal with it, rather than NASA or something like that having to deal with it. And that's still a long way out. I would imagine they don't do a payload until late 2025, early 2026. Just because they still have to work through all the kinks, all the curves, all that stuff. So if I have to guess, it's going to be a little ways out until we get payload, but these will show that those objectives are capable and possible, and that the vehicle can handle that type of thing. Then they will steer the vehicle back in for re-entry, where you'll get the beautiful, I'll put up an image or whatever, but you'll get the beautiful plasma going across the ship, like you do, we saw the last couple flights. That'll be an amazing shot as always. Hopefully they get through re-entry, and then they will go for a soft splashdown where they relight the Raptor engines and slowly put the ship down into the Indian Ocean for a soft touchdown, essentially to simulate how it would look for a catch. The more that they do that, the more that they will likely do it quicker. After flight 4, they said it was going to be probably, or flight 3, they thought, it'd be several launches out before they started trying to catch a booster, probably looking at flight 6, 7, 8, something like that. But they were so good at getting the trajectory correct and the landing spot correct with flight, 3 and 4 particularly, that they went for it on flight 5 and they succeeded. So, they caught the booster. Newsflash, caught the booster. If you watch NSF, you'll know that that is a very big inside joke of theirs that they caught the booster. They say it all the time. Um, they caught the booster, and now the more that they get the ship right, the more that the more likely that those become early things that they try to do in upcoming launches. They want to catch the ship by midway through 2025. So it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I think no matter what, but that's the plan for that, is to nail that every time. And once you hit those objectives, they'll be able to move on and try to catch the booster or the ship back on the pad. The goal obviously being rapid reusability. Rapid reusability is going to be the key. They need to be able to catch both of those things and restack them and go again as rapidly as possible. That's what makes Starship a special program in comparison to SLS and Space Shuttle and all that kind of stuff. So that's the rapid reusability. Elon is doing a great job. And while I don't agree with Elon's politics at all times, what I will say is his work with SpaceX and the people he hires, the brilliant minds of SpaceX, absolutely do an amazing job every single time, which is absolutely incredible. And there's always, they say it every time, it's excitement guaranteed every single time. So we look forward to um, seeing more of what SpaceX has in store for the future. But right now, the countdown is on for IFT-6, and we just cannot wait to see how that's going to go. They did make moderate adjustments to the timeline, so every single time that they launch, there's a specific amount of time in between each objective. So hot staging, boost back burn, relighting the engines, Miko, which is main engine cutoff, max Q, all those things, right? They're all objectives that have to be reached throughout flight. They've made minor adjustments to them, a couple seconds here, a couple seconds there. That is a monumental amount of time. I say a couple seconds, but in terms of accurately launching and landing rockets and boosters, a couple seconds are make and break, and they made a couple adjustments in that area. Nothing that I think is going to be super noticeable to the casual viewer, but they did make some adjustments coming off of flight 5, and really that's just that they had a schedule obviously for flight 5, and they saw that they were doing things faster than the schedule had actually had it placed, so they've cut some time in order to give a more realistic look at how this flight should progress, essentially. There has been by the time the ship launches, by the time Starship launches on Monday, if it happens, because obviously, anything could happen. It could scrub, weather could happen, wind could happen, all that kind of stuff, right? By the time it happens, it'll be approximately 36 days since Flight 5. That is the fastest turnaround that SpaceX has seen for Starship. Obviously, Falcon can go. They've done it crazy. I'm pretty sure the fastest they've done is under a week. But this is, for refurbishing the pad, for checking the OLM, for, checking the lines, doing the tanks and all that stuff. And on top of doing all the refurbishes on ship and booster to make sure that they can handle the tasks that they're being put through, this is amazing turnaround. And again, rapid reusability is the goal. So if you're trying to get rapid, you have to make sure that you can turn it around as quickly as possible, get that pad up to spec, and go again. That is the biggest objective, obviously. So SpaceX is hitting all these marks. They're absolutely killing it, and they're going to progress. Obviously, they wanted to go, Mars by 2030. Artemis was in that same boat of the moon by 2028, something like that. Those are all going to get delayed. Space travel generally has all of those delays anyway. Not everything is written in stone. If you guys kept up with it at all, in early Starship programs. I mean, almost every week Elon tweeted out like, "Hey, it's, we're a week away from launch. We're a month away from regulatory approval. We're this, we're that, we're this, we're that." And it was never the time frame he said. Again, the internet loves calling that Elon time because a week is really 6 months or whatever, and those kinds of time frames for Elon and his his ambition to get this rapidly reusable. Um, Altogether though, like the turnaround has become amazing. Between 2 and 3 was months. Now we're talking weeks. Um, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it over time. It's gonna take reps, a lot of rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat is really kind of what's gonna happen with this. But rapid reusability, approximately 36 days if they take off on Monday, which will be absolutely incredible. I hope that you guys tune in to that launch. Again, NASA Spaceflight has incredible coverage, and you could do that. But what I would do if I were you is I would do like kind of a dual screen thing, right? And I'd have NSF on because they have all the camera angles. They have people down in Boca Chica. They have all the resources. But then you could also come to Introverse Uncharted, where I'm going to be going live right here on Introverse Uncharted on YouTube and probably on Facebook to cover IFT-6. I plan on going live about uh, 2:30, I believe, Mountain Time. So yeah, because it's three Mountain Time is the opening of the window. So 2:30 Mountain Time. We'll give 30 minutes left in the window. And then I will, give my commentary all the way through. NASA Spaceflight will probably be live for 10 hours prior to that. They generally cover all the way through, road closure and tanking and all that kind of stuff. Tanking is a lot faster now. So when I get live at about 30 minutes to go, they're probably going to be starting to tank or, partway through. And then we would finish it off together and watch that rocket go. When it goes, it's going to be absolutely incredible. They do a great job every single time. So again, join me right here on Introverse Uncharted on YouTube live for IFT-6, 2:30 Mountain Time, 3:30 Central Time is when I will go live to cover the launch and hopefully catch of the booster. It's going to be an amazing time. Right now, we are officially 91 hours, 13 minutes, and 25 seconds from the launch of Starship. And as I'm speaking to you, again, as this is being recorded, they are stacking ship on booster right now. This will not be the final stack. They are going to probably have to destack it again because they're going to have to do a flight termination system. So that's where they put the C4 charges onto both ship and booster, so that in the event of something going wrong, they can detonate and destroy ship and booster, or ship or booster, in the event of something going wrong, and try to prevent public safety from being at risk. So they'll have to destack at least one time, unless, and NASA Spaceflight doesn't know this either, they've been talking about it, unless they for some reason put the FTS on it while it was in the Mega Bay at Starbase. They generally don't do that because that means they will have to drive it, like when they do the transport from the Mega Bay to the launch pad. They'd have to drive it with an active, not necessarily active because they haven't pulled the like pins on it yet, but they would still be driving it through with C4 attached to it. So generally they try to not do that. It's not safe even with the road closed. So if I have to guess, they probably do not have FTS on it right now. They will have to destack, and then they will have to put the FTS on, activate the FTS, and then restack. They have a road closure on Sunday for what looks like it could be a wet dress rehearsal. Wet dresses, as you guys know, are literally tanking the vehicle and then detanking the vehicle to the exact spec of the timeline of the launch. So it's essentially just literally a rehearsal without lighting. So they'll get all the way to ignition. They will likely do like a water deluge test or a Firex test, and then they'll detank the vehicle and get ready for the following day when they can do it for real. Um, Again, hopefully all these things and weather and all that cooperate, and we get an amazing sight of a launch of Starship for the 6th time this upcoming Monday, November 18th. Window opening 4 o'clock Central Time, closing 4:30 Central Time. That is going to be the Uncharted space activity update for the day. Again, normally I try to go into a little bit broader of a space activity update where I cover stuff from around the world. That is not going to be the case today. We're just going to cover IFT-6 because IFT-6 is the news. It is the thing that is happening right now. Again, they're stacking for the first time right now as we speak. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Like, Starship launches are always one of my absolute favorite things to watch, especially live stream and listening to NSF's coverage of Starship. It's always absolutely incredible. Again, if you guys haven't, go over and check out NSF. Subscribe to their channel. Watch their content. It's always really good. They have some amazing people who work for that company. It's always just an absolute treat to watch them do their work and be passionate about it. And it teaches all ages about space flight from around the world. Excuse me. Not everybody is as spoiled as we are with the type of rockets that we deal with. So it's cool to see what the world has to offer in spaceflight. Nasaspaceflight does that every single time. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry, still fighting off a cold, trying my best, but here we are. It is absolutely great to be back in the space, to have the drive to be here in front of the camera again. I heard about it a little bit at work, so it's always cool to have a little bit of chatter. I had just shy of 20 views on that comeback video the last time I looked. Thank you very much to all 20 people who went and took the time to watch that video and interact with it. If you guys could, as always, like this video. Let's boost it in the algorithm. Let the YouTube gods know that what I'm doing is something that you guys care about. Follow the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button so that people know, you guys know when I'm putting out new stuff. Hopefully there's gonna be more of it. Again, I'm not gonna handcuff myself to a schedule. Excuse me, especially while I'm sick, but either way, I'm not gonna handcuff myself. But as videos start to roll out more, that way you guys will know when all my good stuff is coming out. I got a video in the works for, it's football related, but it's not like a weekly football thing. It's going to be about a trip that I took this year for a football game. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but the video is going to be really cool. I got a lot of really good images and a lot of video that I took on that trip. I'm pumped. Cannot wait to share it with you guys. Please like, follow, share, subscribe. Go to all the social medias: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of them. Like, follow, share, subscribe to all of it. That way you guys can get all the content up and coming. And if you guys wouldn't mind, drop a comment below for, topics that maybe you guys are interested in. Sometimes, I told you guys in the comeback video, sometimes I just deal with writer's block. So maybe if you guys pitch some ideas about things that you guys are passionate about, even if I don't know about them, I'll learn about them and we'll talk about them right here on this platform. So again, thank you guys so very much for tuning in and for being supportive of all that I've done here on this channel. I look forward to what the future holds, for sure. I still have a lot of ideas from my last stint and a lot of new ones for this one. But again, send some ideas. If you guys have anything that you want me to talk about, drop it in the comments, all right? Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. And remember to do more than simply exist and come with me into the Uncharted. I'll see you guys soon.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.